Come on, Gold.
Pay attention.
She's good. She's
This button, okay.
It is. But when the cops are sitting over there with their blue lights on, I don't want to interrupt the sting operation or whatever the hell they got going on. So it's a better explanation even over here. So, you think so? Is that what the spirit box told you? Cool. So make sure we write that one down.
Okay,
This is what I got.
Does it matter when it goes to 0?
It means we have nothing going on right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to know. Yeah, me either.
I thought it
All
meant
right.
something.
So this is the big red barn box. So this is where we keep some of your horses for your carriage rides. The history here is really simple, and I made it that way on purpose because it's a good explanation for most of your devices to further explain them. This is the same red barn that held horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. Keywords being delivery, milk, eggs, anything relative to a stable. Let's talk about all these communication devices first. What's the first question everybody wants to ask a Ouija board or some kind of communication device? I've been my center of space. Screaming at these folks.
Is anyone here?
Is anyone here? Perfect. So in the event that you hear the answer no, that means somebody's here. We are not going to be asking yes/no questions all night long. Even if you're here for shits and giggles and you're not a true believer in any kind of supernatural anything, have some fun with it. We're here for details for everybody else. So, example. When I'm teaching people how to use these kind of devices, it's a matter of asking questions you already know the answers to at first to kind of get used to how it actually works. If somebody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is. So obviously we are looking and listening for the color red. I say looking because we do have a word list and we do have the Ouija board. But the rest of you are using song lyrics and DJs to be able to convey messages back to us. And the word red might not be available to that song lyric or commercial. Fire truck, blood, heart. Those three things are specifically red, and I would take that as an acceptable answer if it was direct. What color is a big red barn? Blood. I'm good with that. However, you have most of my gear out tonight. I'm going to require that there's at least 2 things going on among different devices to come close to calling something paranormal. Another example. Let's say our word list actually has, the word art on it. That doesn't mean anything over here when we're talking about football players and ponies. But then Emily here's the number 40 coming out of hers. Put them together. Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. I guess where this is more of an escape room putting clues together than it is so much a ghost tour. Again, this is a lot different than a normal let's hear some stories and move on. So, let's talk about cameras. So cameras, we're going to be in places tonight where there's going to be parked cars. John's going to get us in trouble.
I don't run.
Straightened out and got him the hell out of here. Welcome to a parking lot. Congratulations, you made it.
Yay.
Yay. You guys don't know where to park, by the way. By the time I'm done with you, I don't know how to help you. Like, seriously, you got bigger issues than I can help out with. If you have a camera and you haven't started recording, by all means, go ahead and get those started. But where the heck are we? We are at the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion site. Sorry. London kind of gave me a funny look and I just caught her out of the corner of my eye. I was like,
did I do something?
You did.
Oh, I don't know.
So, Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion. Their mansion actually sat in the front of this space, facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant and came all the way across. And we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. All of you communication device folks, I am not going to be giving you questions here like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the big red barn. Again, I'm going to withhold information on purpose so that everybody has a genuine experience. That way you don't know what you're looking for, no matter how silly you think it might actually be relevant. So, who the heck were Charles and Eliza Pinckney? They had a son named Charles, they had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses, in case you lost track. That's why we look for the secondary clues, so that way we know who we're talking to. Now, the son and the nephew, signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. It's a big deal for us, but I hate politics more than everybody here. So we're going to move on. And John's like, yes, good deal. So, let's talk about Eliza. She has a much cooler story. Here's how this goes. It wasn't about breaking glass. You guys are going to be a funny group tonight, I can tell. Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. So if you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, you're not going to hear numbers like 12 and 14. It's going to be according to today's standards. The reason I bring that up is because Charles, her husband, was over double her age when they married. So kind of a creepy age gap back then, creepy age gap now. So I just want to put that in the back of your brain. We're going to talk about Eliza and why she married Charles. Her father was over in England, and he thought he was dying. He's trying to bring all of his kids home one last time. Eliza didn't believe he was dying, so she stayed put and got married. It's 1744. You don't get married in 1744 for a green card. We're not a country yet. She did marry Charles out of love. There's no foul play, no affair, nothing like that, so don't poke the bear. We're talking about a very prominent, respectable English woman. Anyway, she was right. Her father did not die right away, and she's already married. So her father starts sending her apologetic gifts to this space all the way from England. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. You guys have been in town for at least an hour. You've seen the word indigo. I can guarantee it. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. So some of you have it on tonight because that's how we use it today. When Eliza got the seeds, she didn't know what to do with them. She had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's not always hot here. So when she figured it out, she moved it to a cash crop, got a hold of her dad and said, our rice plantations are going downhill. We're going to make a killing with the indigo. Now we have an international businesswoman in colonial times. What do you have?
Indian.
It's not indigo.
Close.
No. Not it. So.
You have fun with your group dad.
Hey, IND. We got the IND part.
Wow. So here's how this is going to go. That's the boring stuff about Eliza. I'm going to go through all of the Spirit Box folks and kind of give you guys a series of questions to focus on. And in the event that you're not getting direct answers to those questions, cherry pick off of whatever I give somebody else. Keep in mind, everybody's going to be asking the same person questions. Most of you are using Spirit Boxes. There's at least one Spirit Box among every group. Keep in mind, those answers, even though that you're going to be asking one thing, it could go to his Spirit Box. We never know where it's actually going to go. And these are questions that we commonly get the answers to. You have to remember, I'm out here 7 nights a week unless it's raining. So again, she knows what we're about to ask. Here's how this is going to go. Where's our first Spirit Box? So Emily, the mansion's not here anymore. You can ask what happened to it, and then get us a date of when that tragedy happened.
Wait, do I ask?
We're going to be spreading out in a moment, so that way you can either just focus on the questions or ask them out loud, whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay.
With your Spirit Box with the word list, what we've commonly seen is the maiden name of Eliza that we just talked about. Now, the funny thing is that she's the second wife named Eliza from Charles back to back. Yeah, smart or stupid, depending on who you talk to. Both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. That's all I'm going to tell you. I would also go after the marriage question, maybe ask how old she was. You might get the answer out of that as well. Candi, with yours, you're getting Eliza's death. So that's going to be kind of in combo effect with, his device, because again, we still don't have a series of questions for this guy yet to see what's actually going to pop out of it. So that way you guys can actually listen together and see if that's actually going to give you some of the answers too.
I'm at 4.5.
Awesome.
Now I'm at 0.1.
That's how it goes. Ghosts don't stand still.
Okay.
So Candi, those 4 questions that are commonly asked:
Don't be
how did you
sick.
die? How old were you when you died? Where are you buried? And what president was a pallbearer at your funeral? So those are like the 4 majors that we get answers from.
You seem a little personal.
With yours, I'm going to stick with what happened to the mansion with yours too, because it works kind of the same as the one that Emily has. So with that one, what happened to it? When did that happen? Joey, you're going to go after the children. Here are the other one, his name is Charles. There are more. You can ask how many and what their names are, and that's it. The reason why there's a tragedy among those kids. A respectable woman. Don't poke the bear and piss her off. That's basically what I'm telling you. And it pretty much goes for everybody. So again, if somebody starts poking a bear about what happened to that child, even the little 4.5 EMF readings that we're getting are going to go away. I've seen it dozens and dozens of times. During this month of me experimenting with different locations, I was actually thinking about retiring this one because too many people were poking the bear, and Eliza's getting a little tired of it. You're getting pretty nasty messages, like you're not welcome here. Please walk away. All kinds of things are starting to pop up.
Sorry,
Again, we're not going to spend a ton of time here. We're going to get enough information and move on, just to kind of keep you on the loop. Normally this would be, like you said, 15-minute slot, but we're going to spend about 5 to 8 minutes here and kind of see what goes down. So, cameras, by slow movements, don't be filming cars. We do not go in between cars, even though there's only 2 here. So kind of keep that in the back of your brains. So, I am going to keep John behind so I can show him how to use that motion sensor. I want you to show the other John how to use the sensitivity on that one specifically.
I remember how to do that.
It's right below the red light, so show them how to up and down it, and then we'll kind of go from there. All right, everybody, let's spread out. I'm going to be bouncing around with everybody after I'm done with John here. All right, so you got 4.5. Any other numbers?
2.8.
Okay, so
But then they pretty much went back down to 0.
That's perfect. Because if it was man-made, it was me. That makes sense to us. So, anything below, don't tell me anything below 4.5. I will love showing off. So you can even close that flap if it's not closed all the way. There you go. So that way it's a little bit more comfortable. Perfect. You got this.
Okay,
Nice
so
easy job.
I just
within the lot right here.
okay.
Let's see where we're at. Yeah, 4.5 here. Well, so you guys have the gist of how to listen to that guy too.
Don't get too close to me because I have. Don't get in front of me. It's 7 miles.
Now we're going to escalate it from 14.
So then I don't say anything until I get to
So 14 on
and it's when the blue pops up.
Get out of the way. We don't want to clear it. We want to give you guys a cool place. If I say that something might be garbage in there, or like what I saw so far doesn't mean anything, I'm going to put a second set of eyes on it. Plus, it might be relevant to somebody else. Not a big occurrence. It's normally when I'm reviewing it the next day. Anyway, so now, because of why it's slow moving.
Look, it's changing color too.
Yeah.
The red where blue turns to red is that just because the temperature changes?
Kind of.
I honestly don't know what I'm supposed to be looking for. But yeah.
terrible. But I don't really know that I heard terrible. I heard most. Right. That's what I heard. So like, how do you do that? So with your spirit box, it's a little bit more difficult because, again, you're going to get a lot of that broken static where you have constant. So easier to find things with constant static. Even when we got some radio chatter coming through, when yours comes through, it is loud. Oh, you're now. Oh, trust me. It is loud. For example, one of the first times I ever see that, we're going to talk about pirate service, or my last job. Pirate, not part of a sentence, not part of anything, not the pirate one thing, pirate, so luckily, we were close enough to the fermentation camera where we had the audio on there because we all heard it. And it was one of the solos. Nice, nice.
So it won't be radio noise,
It will. Oh, okay. That was a different audio. It might be the pirate one thing. Always talking about the pirate. They're actually literal pirates. Alright, let's do one more quick round.
I swear I was making it go off, right? I've been accused of it. Don't think I haven't been. Anything else coming up out of here, guys?
So I went off street. I asked the enticement to come back.
I don't think so. Is it beeping? I can film school fights, dang.
So that's cute to wrap it up. All right, come on in, everybody. Started.
Girl, you're the scariest thing on this camera right now.
Yeah, that's because the one holding the camera is behind.
Okay, I'm picking up what you're throwing down. Glad you guys came after me. So this should be very interesting. Let's go ahead and turn off your white button in the back because that's going to be. This is where we're getting a lot of that move around. All right, so come on in, guys. Let's see what we got going on. Are you getting anything specific on yours?
Did you get anything?
Anything else I need to know?
90.
Did you get anything, Mom?
And what's funny is a lot of people, and I don't want to say warn people to not like go into that. Go ahead and mute yours for me if you don't mind. I kind of warn people like to not go into the servant slave questions only because I can't prove it. There's no records of them other than one of their names here and there. Len, you want to help him out with trying to shut that guy up?
I know what I'm doing.
You do. But it is one of those pieces, like, I had the name Dave show up and the word cook right after. So again, do I have Dave here that was the cook? I don't know.
Or is that his last name?
Right, exactly. So again, you're thinking on the same wavelengths that I normally would, but again, I can't prove it. So at that point, I have to discount it as we're going to put it in the notes and we're going to leave it alone.
Yeah.
It is what it is at that
I
point.
didn't hear anything, I just felt it.
We'll take it. Again, it's one of those pieces. So
No, it's a big question mark.
yeah, it's always a question mark. All right, so here's what I'm excited about. I'm excited that we got up to a 14 milligauss. Let me explain what those readings actually mean. So he's getting a bunch of numbers like those little K2 blinking lights. If we were to actually put that device next, like behind your television set where all of your wires are, you're going to get about a 40 to 60 milligauss reading. An average reading for this space is 18 to 22 on average. So that kind of gives you an idea with the space with no electricity, what we can actually see here. We got it all the way up to a 14.1, was it? I think it was, I wrote it down. But 14.1 where there's no electricity, I'm pretty pleased with that, to be quite honest, especially considering I've been very shy with this area, just really kind of holding back and making sure my folks are going to be respectful. The other thing about that particular device, if you were to set it next to your microwave while it's running on high, about 150 to 170 milligauss. The highest I've ever seen that device go has been here, and it was this past summer, about 214 milligauss. It's almost like putting your head inside the running microwave. Unsafe levels, in other words. We left. I'm just going to put it out there. I do have epilepsy and seizures. I don't play with electricity in the air with a neurological disorder. So again, we left the space. I gave the answers at a later time. What sucked for that team was because it was as soon as we got here. So we had to leave almost immediately. It was within 5 minutes. So let's kind of go through the answers. Do you have anything else that may have come up in the past few terms?
Everything that came up just recently: scratch, rain, reached, legislator, ride, validity.
I'll take legislator. That's pretty good.
And politically.
Oh, there's another one. Most Pinckney men, politicians. Just going to put it out there. Governors, senators of the Constitution, they were all something. I'm just going to put that in there. So that is good first clue. It's not enough for me to say, oh my God, we have evidence. Just kind of keep that in the back of your brain. So let's kind of go through all of these answers and kind of show you how some of this will actually start to come to light as we move through the evening. This is a great starter place because it is so active, and it kind of gives you an idea of how all of your gear works together. So when I bring out the tablet, I go around the horn so that way you guys don't have to crowd in. This is Eliza Lucas Pinckney, maiden name being Lucas. So, by the way, if you have a camera, you can stop your camera to kind of... Alright, anybody else have anything going on with their spirit boxes?
Next to you. I asked questions after that, but I didn't get anything.
No answers? Any letters coming up?
I don't think I'm sensitive enough right now.
Yeah, you can crank it up in this location all the way to the clockwise. So you're preliminary on yours. Nothing. Yours is a little more difficult because it's a little bit older school. What do you have going on with that word list?
Holocaust, consent, plastic.
It was heard. Somebody heard the word plastic.
And then and bro. That came up.
Is that back at the...
That was right after we left.
Okay.
Santiago.
It's common to get gardening terms, anything like you would think of with gardening. So dirt, soil, shovel, grow, those type of terms. It's very loose, but it is, it is very common to see those type of terms there. So, and that Santiago piece, I'm actually thinking because you have another name on there that I don't know who it is, which is Ian. We might have actually had some kind of connection with the servant and slaves of where we were standing, but I just don't have any records of them to be able to prove any of that. So that's the first thing that popped in my head when you said Santiago. So it's like, oh, interesting. All right, so we normally don't see any numbers here higher than say 2 to 4, and that's because we do have a lot of light posts and that kind of thing. So if you see anything above a 4 at this point, I would say let me know.
Okay, should I?
No, we don't need the motion sensor. We won't probably see anything as far as that goes. But both cameras, we definitely want filming. She's doing an awesome job. You broke it. Good job. Yeah, this is getting a little sensitive. I replace this guy every 9 months or so, and we're right at that cusp of right before Christmas, the most expensive tool we have. I know. Yeah, it's just the accessory part that's one of the most expensive. So yeah, definitely want to keep this guy rolling right here. Again, when the other tourists start to come through here, if we do see more, we just split the seas for them, just so you know. Me and Linda will move back, and then you guys will know. So where the heck are we? We're at the airport. No, I'm kidding. It's just very weird to hear an airport or any kind of airline while we're down here, because normally you don't hear much going on here, which is part of the reason why we're here. This place is called Philadelphia Alley now. It used to be called Dueler's Alley. This is kind of a staple for every single ghost tour, and we all tell the same story, but I'm going to tell it to you a little bit different because you're not sitting around a campfire with marshmallows, you're ghost hunting. You need different details. So here's how this goes. A doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. We do get his name that shows up here often. He moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money, tells Amanda, get rid of the doctor. Dr. Ladd moves to Charleston to prove that he's not after her money. He's going to start his practice here and prove his point. So as he's walking or coming into town, the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed that was bringing him into town at the room he was going to stay. He had a gunman inside and he was going to try to take all of his money. Dr. Ladd just graduated from school and he looked like he had quite a bit of cash, so this is going to be an easy kill, right? Somebody was walking by and seeing everything that was about to happen. His name was Ralph Isaacs. I stopped on Ralph because Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from. R.I. Ralph Isaacs, Rhode Island. The weird thing about this is even before we had the Ouija board device, because that's still the newest piece we have, we were getting R.I. on different spirit boxes. It was the strangest thing. But again, belongs to two different characters, need a secondary verifier. So, back to Ralph. He tells the doctor, I know this guy, man. He's going to try to kill you. I got some friends at 59 Church Street. You can stay there, rent a room, and you'll be safe. Dr. Ladd took him up on the offer, and the two became friends. I know, kind of a weird thing, but it's the late 1700s. That's what people did back then. So, with that, the longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. He's proving his point that he wasn't after Amanda's money. So, Amanda gets wind of this, and she's going to be moving down soon so they can get married. Dr. Ladd becomes known as the whistling doctor because he whistled all the time. What I'm going to tell you about any future haunted, any city you're going to visit has a cliched whistling ghost. I'm just going to put it out there right now. We actually have proof of this one. We're going to get to that. Dr. Ladd and Ralph go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. That's the way the hierarchy works here, or at least it did. So, they go see Richard III one night. They're walking home talking about the play because they couldn't sit next to each other, and they're arguing over the new actress. Dr. Ladd thought she was great, but Ralph, not so much. So they start arguing, and then Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée back home in Rhode Island. Kind of a jerk move. It gets, obviously pretty heated, and then they go their separate ways. But I already told you Ralph has friends here. He goes to his friends at the newspaper, puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a disgrace to society kind of mentality. Dr. Ladd sees the ad. What do you have that you're smirking about over there?
8.
I don't know that he called him an 8. But I like it.
Does seem to fit.
It does seem to fit.
Check the newspapers again.
I know, I do. I actually have those
Investigate.
printed out at home. So Dr. Ladd sees obviously the ad and he rebuttals instead of getting nastier. He just says, let's go to Dueler's Alley and let's settle this. So they came down, they took their 10 paces, they turned, the doctor pointed his gun in the air and he shot his one shot. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, which is often what happened at a duel, by the way. Ralph has his one bullet, puts it in the kneecap of the doctor. The doctor doesn't die, but he drops to the ground, and Ralph proved his point that he's not willing to forgive. Dr. Ladd's friends pick him up. They carried him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 or 4 days later, depending on which version of the story you're reading, after refusing medical treatment. You have to remember that this guy's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed out the lead poisoning himself. So, the ghost tours that come down here all tell the same thing, that as you walk through this alley, you can hear the whistles from the doctor. Keep in mind, you guys hear how quiet it is right now, except for the airplane that I pointed out earlier. There's a reason why I pointed it out. I wanted you to see how quiet it is down here, because it's normally like this even on a Saturday afternoon. We do have whistles that we can't debunk. If you're going to try and walk all the way through this alley on your own, because me and London cannot take you down to the end, because we've been kicked out, and I'm going to tell you why here shortly. Yes, that's the fun part of the story. Thank you for chuckling. That was supposed to be funny. But turn on your voice recorders. But keep in mind, every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street is going to throw a whistle down the alley. So, come on through, boss.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, you're good, you're good.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
We're legit tonight.
Tree keeps getting in my bag's way.
Yeah.
We have 3, so we can't help but notice them. Always looking on the ground. So we don't step on them. Yeah, we have 3 of them. And they're all different, like, yeah. You're on the catwalk. All right. So, again, keep in mind, everybody throws a whistle down here, and our garage is actually one block that way. We pass it on the way here, so that means we have to pass this alley. We throw a whistle down here every single night, just so you know.
We race to it.
We do race to it. I won last night, just so you guys know. I'm putting that out there, because I can talk and whistle at the same time. But anyway, here's why I got kicked out of here, because that's the fun part, and John can't wait to hear this. So this alley didn't always come all the way through. It has a long history, but in a nutshell, this is where they kept the livestock for the city of Charleston. So it was blocked off on one end. That means those bricks on that side are older. Those are sun-dried bricks from slave children. I always point them out, because I'm sure you guys picked out. I'm already about all the history here, right? So I point them out because we all need to see it. I don't care about the diversity of my group. We all need to see how far we've come away from slavery. There's a full handprint from one of those sun-dried bricks down there. You can see it from a slave child. It's definitely not the size of my hand, and there's fingerprint swipes off to the left. And I'd always point it out, but everybody on my tours likes to stop and try to get a reading. What I tell you about cemeteries, I treat that brick the same way I do a headstone. That kid's not staring at that brick in the afterlife. So, November 26th of 2020. Yes, a very specific date. You want to get that thing off of me?
You're giving a reading, Dad.
It's because there's electronics in the bag, dork.
You're a ghost. I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyway, November 26th, the entire group is like huddled around that one brick, trying to get a reading out of it. And I'm trying to shoot him wrong, because again, I'm not expecting anything, nor am I going to disrupt this poor kid, even if he is there. But it's because it's outside the dining room window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. It's out of bounds for tours. So I was still learning my ropes, and the new owner of the mansion came out screaming. She thought it was great because Dad's getting yelled at, and we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I didn't have a tour that day because I worked in retail management for over 20 years. I'm not working Thanksgiving again ever, including this week. So the next day after that was November 28th. Yes, the dates are relevant. I get a phone call asking me to go down halfway, like every other tour, because that's as far as we're allowed to go, or to reroute. I decided it wasn't fair for my groups of 10 to work around 20 to 60. You guys get my point. So I told my tour, I don't believe in this story we're about to go see, but again, we're going to see what happens. I'm a vampire guy, not a pirate person. Let's see what goes on. Somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box before we left. I did not tell them that we were going to be investigating the famous female pirate Anne Bonny. So I was like, oh shit, maybe we are going to get something. We get up there, I told what little bit I did know about pirates at the time. Somebody else hears the number 300 on another spirit box, and I don't know what that means until I'm doing the research the next day. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there anniversary of her pirate trial. So now I've read more damn books on piracy than I ever wanted to in my entire lifetime, trying to piece together a factual investigation on pirate lore. Everything we're about to discuss at the next location is based off of a minimum of 2 resources. So we will be spreading out like what we did at the Pinckney Mansion site. Worst case scenario, because it is a hit or miss location. Anne Bonny is said to be seen all over town, based on, you'll see why once we get there. But if we're not getting anything, you'll learn a whole hell of a lot about pirates that you never knew about before. So, do we have anything else crazy going on with your devices before we leave the space? You had all kinds of blinkies coming out of yours. What do you got going on?
I think it's
You got a prescription on the screen? Something you can't pronounce?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Sanskrit.
Yeah. You got anything coming up out of yours?
Relief, dust, investigate, and smell for a really long time.
Smell stood up there for a while?
A long time.
Okay.
I think
Anybody
it's
else
still
hear
on there.
anything? I know you
I
were
swear I
kind of focused on
showered.
yours, and yours is on mute. You didn't have your earbud in the whole time. All right. Those of you with cameras, if you want to keep them running pretty much to our next spot, you can do that. So again, if not, if you want to give your hands a break, completely up to you. It's your night. So again, I'm going to spot check whatever you throw at me, so we'll see what happens.
In the beginning was the word raid with an extra letter in the middle.
Which was?
It was. I don't remember. Like
But it was like R-A-I-D? Was it
R something A-I-D.
R something A-I-D. I'm going to put a question mark there.
Hello?
I was just wondering if there's any relevance.
Not necessarily, but I do see the letters R I in there. So your 2 in between R and I could have been like what we had at the Pinckney Mansion site. Same principle. So it may have been too sensitive in picking up lighting fixtures and or another message.
Yeah.
Any numbers come up on yours at all?
No, it's been 0.
Okay. All right, you can ignore it until we get to the next space.
Okay.
All right, let's go learn about some crazy pirates. What do you think?
Art.
Oh, by the way, this gate, which is the reason why I stopped here. This gate, remember this alley you go all the way through? This was a shortcut to go to St. Philip Cemetery in the event that there was a loser to a door. So otherwise, they have to carry the gate all the way down and back down around to get over to the cemetery. Not every everybody knows why this archway is here. Obviously the wrought iron wasn't there, but the archway was. The wrought iron is about, I'd say early 1900s, but remember that this alley goes way back, so we're talking like early 1700s. So yeah, this is an old-ass alley. There's a lot of history here. But the dueling story is one of the big ones because we actually captured quite a bit from this. It is. There's a lot of cool stuff that comes out of this place. Anything crazy coming out of this?
Mention that to him because he said
Surprised. I thought you were going to be crazy tonight.
Well, I can give you that, but won't be out of the spirit box.
I'm looking at Lou. L-O-U. I'm gonna write it down anyway, just so I don't know what it is. But yeah, I would reset it every time you get a fresh slate. You get a full slate. Anybody else hear anything? We got the name Chris and a Lou showed up on the Ouija board device. Did you get anything out of yours? Alright, everybody else, you guys are like pretty silent and compliant with this.
Shame, sorry, presentation, and constant.
Constant in Philadelphia Alley last night. That was weird. So on that same work list, very interesting. Nothing coming up out of yours at all. I think you guys might need to switch. Which, by the way, if you wanted to intermingle your devices among your party, switch it up. Learn about these different devices and what they do. I'm perfectly fine with it. So again, just keep it within your own party because everything gets sanitized. And you guys get the gist of that, right? All right, so we're going. We stay over here because we just stay out of the way of the other tours. That way, they're not interfering with us over here. But we are at the Powder Magazine. We're going to be discussing that little tiny building over there with the crosses on it. So those are not crosses, by the way. They're earthquake bolts. So in the event we have another earthquake, those are set up like turnbuckles. You're supposed to be able to tighten them little by little, day by day, and it's supposed to tighten the building back up to stop any further damage from occurring on the building. It's a great idea, but it doesn't work. The only reason I bring them up is it's exactly why we're here. Those are the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in because that's the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. This building is what I call a familiar to Anne Bonny. The reason it's familiar is because she came here at the same time that this building was being constructed. We don't have many buildings this old. Again, it's on the allowable route for where tour guides are actually allowed to go. Keep in mind, this is also the story I didn't really believe in until we started getting evidence out of the location. So, here's how this goes. And by the way, that familiar piece, that's the same principle of using a toy to attract a child ghost. It's the same type of principle. Go to a familiar building that they would actually recognize.
here comes the other pub crawls that you guys are not part of and paying for. So, thank you, by the way, for pointing out that the guys are the other players. So, oh cow. You guys gotta follow me on this one because there's a handful of twists. I will slow down on the twists because it can get very confusing. Our
Not enough.
Again, anybody need an extra teenager? Going once.
I'll
Going
take
twice.
this one for myself.
No, I'm not doing a swap. This is an even sale. Like, you hear that? Cash money. Look at her walking away. Get over here. All right, 1708. Right in the middle of this building's construction, which, by the way, this little building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. Young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormack. She moves here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Is everybody with me so far? The three of them are running away from Anne's father's angry wife. How pissed was she that they had to leave Ireland and come here? They land in Georgetown, and Dad bought a plantation. Mom died pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here to sell anything from that plantation to keep things afloat. Now, Anne back home in Ireland, kind of a badass. They say she killed one of her servants when she was only 7, 8, 9 years old. Remember, we're dealing with pirate lore. With a knife to the belly. Knife and belly have shown up here in the past. Fast forward, building's done in 1713. Anne is still coming down here to sell things from the plantation, but by 1715, pirates are coming through town, and Anne is pretty stoked. She wants to fall in love with one of these pirates so she can earn her freedom, just like a man. It's a man's world at this point, and she knows it. Guy number one. Yes, I said number one. There's a handful, and we're going to go through them. Number one is James Bonney. You all see where this one's going? Dad didn't approve. He's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormack is now Anne Bonny, the famous female pirate. However, James Bonney is not Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. This guy turns out to be a privateer. He's a spy for the British. He's a coward in her eyes. This is not who she wants. A few years later, she falls in love again. Guy number two, John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. This is literally the person they based your Captain Jack Sparrow character off of for your Disney films. So he's the guy that she's looking for. He has his own ship and wants to be part of it. Can't put a girl on a pirate ship. Does anybody know why? Right, bad luck. Perfect. Thank you for keeping it family friendly. So, I get a lot of answers out of that question, but it's just to make sure everybody's still paying attention. But anyway, he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy, you can actually be part of the crew, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland to keep her away from his wife. So she's like, whatever, it's a man's world, let's go. Most of us are adults here, except for London. Yep, exactly. Let's put two and two together. He's younger. That's right. He's taller, though. Let's put two and two together. She's a female in his quarters. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You can't have a pregnant, pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a woman. So he drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby here. These are friends of mine. They'll help you out. But come back later and we'll figure it out. She goes and has the baby, returns with no baby. We have no idea what happens to the child. I've researched and researched, can find nothing. The significance of this part of the story is that she comes back dressed like a female, which makes Jack pretty angry. And while she was away giving birth to his baby, he captured another pirate crew, and she's going to go flirting with that crew to make him even more mad. Guy number three. Guy number three turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy, to be part of the pirate crew, the Calico Jack Hatch. So now we have two females on the same ship trying to be pirates. Her name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers. We're never going to really know for sure. But the British find out where they are, and they send a fleet of ships to take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary, rumor has it, they were the only two pirates that were not drunk enough to come up and fight with their one-bullet flintlocks. Probably because they don't know how to use the cannons yet. They haven't been pirates for very long. Two young ladies with flintlocks are not going to take on a fleet of ships. They get arrested. And as they're being arrested, she looks at her captain, her beau, Calico Jack, and she says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up here a lot too, by the way. The judge wants to see the two men that fought back so valiantly on their own after he's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunk pirates that wouldn't fight. They're dead and gone 2 days prior.
Calico.
You heard Calico? Nice. Remind me to write that one down. That was going to be easy. So, anyway, the two ladies go in front of the judge, which, by the way, he has the same name as me. So if you hear my name on your spirit boxes, it's him, not me. They go in front, reveal the gender. He doesn't care that they're female. They're still pirates. He's still going to hang them. So they plead their bellies, meaning they're both claiming to be pregnant. You can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail and delays the hanging. Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money because he was an attorney back home, and he bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4, because we don't really know about Mary. And she has 4 kids, dies at the age of 84. Yes, very abrupt. I know, you weren't expecting that. I did that on purpose. Mary Reed, however, died a year later in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail. Most books and articles will tell you that it was fever. I'm going to call bullshit on that and say it was scurvious and nasty and gross, and use your imagination and make it romantic for yourselves. Unfortunately, I had to think about it every single night. So, 2 questions I left out of this location for you on purpose. I'm not going to give you a whole series of questions because this is kind of a free-for-all, but we are going to try to stay away from yes-no questions. So, 2 things I left out are the name of Anne Bonny's parents on purpose. So, you can ask her what her father's name was or his mistress. Remember, that was her mother. I also left out the name of Calico Jack's ship. So, again, that's another interesting one to find. Now, with yours, specifically, if you get numbers, you're probably too close to the bushes because the electrical meters are on the other side of them, or the corners of the lot. The other thing you're going to try to do is pull the motion sensor up, and you're going to ask Anne Bonny what her hair color is, and she will show you. So, again, we've had it here plenty of times. Again, we didn't get it last night, but it is one of those things. It's the only time I've ever gotten a direct red out of the motion sensor on command in multiple locations around the space. So, kind of interesting. But again, we are going to crank up those spirit boxes and get them up and running, and we're going to see what we can get out of this place. We're going to know within 5 minutes if we actually have something going on here. Just so you guys know. So I'm going to be bouncing around with you guys pretty quickly to see what's going on. Oh yeah, we're going to stay around here. If you want to catch the scene of the fire carcass, you don't want to pass it, but if you want to get footage of it because you have a camera, leave the lot, go in front of the bushes to the left. Just don't interrupt the other tours. That's the only thing that I ask. 5:40. And then you had Calico, which is super awesome.
In a minute, let me finish this.
Yeah, I'm trying not to get away from bushes, I guess. Did you say to go out here or no?
If those were cameras, I mean, we're going to be going in front of it anyway if they want to go and get like the front line.
I gotcha. Gotcha.
Because normally this would have been the last stop, but we're moving on. They're going to be passing.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, but yeah, she's
So
like,
what does it do? It picks up the, like, it'll pick up the current from the other stuff?
yep. Yeah, so I mean, if you were to go hang out like somewhere near that light post,
Right.
you'll probably pick it up a little bit further, not exactly right next to it, but it might be a little bit further.
What does it end up picking up? Like, how high does it go?
On a light post like that, you'll probably see it go all the way to like 6 to 8. I would guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
walking over the electrical lines and some of like these grids on the sidewalks, you'll see it go from like 3 to 5, just because it's only going to the parking.
So it's not a huge.
Yeah, it's not. But again, I tell you guys 2.5, everybody gets excited. We have a 3.5, 3.8, 3.5, 3.8. I'm like, yeah, that's a
before
pulse.
I got like a full 14 or 10 and a 14.
Right.
But that blue kept coming up all the time.
That's crazy.
For a
It's
while.
almost like she was showing you what color everything was.
Yeah, yeah.
So we've gotten a lot of blues on
I'll
there.
trade you at the last
But we have
spot,
gotten
okay?
her to be able to respond.
The west.
On
The next one, the last one.
Yeah.
You know, I try not to
Get
put
anything?
blue in your guys' heads, like, because
Yeah.
of the indigo.
Well, that's why I was doing it, to see what color.
Right.
I think I come with. But he's not working. Is it working?
What'd you get? Dick Mary? What were you asking?
We were asking what was the name of the thing in town.
Okay. Actually, very interesting that her born in, because the city that she was born in was Cork. A very similar sounding.
I heard it from over like 20 feet away.
Born in,
Yes.
yeah.
Born in. Yeah. It sounded like she was
Like
just
repeated.
repeated exactly.
Or she was about to answer, like, I was born in Cork.
What word are we in? And then number 10.
So a lot of times when you guys hear like state names, and I'm looking at Maine that way, it's almost a prediction of who's going to be on my tour next. So, for example, it might say, I can't remember what state you guys are from. It might have, Joey and whatever, Florida. So it might say Joey and Buster, Boston, Florida. I don't know where you guys are from. I think it's
start heading over towards the wall, you guys will start performing. Yeah, we're gonna head over to the London.
On the next one or on the way to the next one? Either or. Okay.
Number 5
Yeah.
is a dark answer. That's why I've been kind of working
Just wait till
I know I can't.
this one's over.
But I have to.
To turn it off.
Now what do you do?
I got breast, beef, and
Beef is interesting. Let me tell you why. Come on over this way, guys. Where's the beef? Yeah, let's turn the motion sensing off since you didn't really get much out of it.
This is their cover museum, remember?
Oh, I see.
Oh, and the gift shop too. You could get a cannonball.
Yeah.
Alright. Look, these tops. Right there, walking around, they're like standing still. How would you feel if there was going on? See, here's the horse.
No, where did it We got it in a special record people.
Oh.
Get it. Use the thing on it.
No, across the street. This is the place with the big balls that we walked around the other day. thing he took a picture of. Black door.
So, you guys now see why I like the 9 o'clock hour? There's no tourism here. There's nobody on the streets. I love sneaking around the city with you guys. So, there are plenty of monuments in here. We are here mainly for this one specifically. A couple of them that I'll point out is we have the monument of George Washington that we just passed as we came in. And then we actually have a memorial to Andrew Jackson's mother. Her name is Elizabeth Hutchinson. It's on the exact opposite of the obelisk of where we're standing right now. We do get some activity over there, so we're primarily here for this gentleman. His name is Henry Timrod. This story is normally told over at the Charleston Library Society because his collection is actually over there. So you would think, based on the collection, that he only haunts that place, but we've been getting things of him here. There's a lot of different monuments in here you're going to find, but you got like the comedy station on?
It just said no tours at the end.
Love it. I love when I can't make this stuff up in real time, guys. Write that one down. Thank you. London's on it. That's a good one.
So, who the heck is Henry Timrod? This guy is very interesting indeed. This guy, born in 1829, which was the first set of numbers that I heard here. It was in one sentence. 1829, the name Henry, and the name Tim. His name is Timrod. That's his last name. So I couldn't deny that we had Henry Timrod with us the first evening, and we keep getting more and more. He was a poet. He was very ill, even as a young boy, from what I understand. So even as he graduated, he wanted to join the effort for the Civil War. So he joined the Confederate Army. His comrades seen that he was too sick to fight. So basically, instead of carrying him from location to location, they said, go home and be the voice of the war. So they started calling him the laureate of the war. So again, he is a poet, and a very interesting thing about him is he did have a son. I'm not going to tell you his son's name, because that is something that has been showing up here lately, and he was also married. I'm not going to tell you the name of his wife either, so that's something else that you can ask. And when he came home from the war, he had a friend, Paul Haynes Hamilton, and after he lost his son, he said, you can use my cottage in Columbia, right in the center of the state, and you can go right up there and nice, peaceful, and kind of be away from home for a little bit. So he took him up on the offer, but he was still sick. So he's sitting at his desk that he set up for himself, and he writes his last words. His last words were beholder of brief mortality, meaning person of short life. And he coughed because he had tuberculosis, and it ended up on the page as a blood stain on the book that he was writing. And that blood stain looks just like a man writing. That book is actually on display one day out of the year on Halloween at the Charleston Library. It's called the Blood Book. I'm going to show you the page so you can kind of see what I'm talking about, and you can even see his last line that says, beholder of brief mortality. And it's kind of ironic that he died right after he wrote that line. You can obviously see the blood stain where it looks like a man writing at the bottom of the page. So one of the things I'm going to do after everybody sees the blood stain is I'm going to read the last stanza of this poem called Charleston, obviously based off of Charleston, South Carolina. The interesting thing about that stanza is that it almost relates to what we're doing out here tonight. I'm hoping to stir things up. I know when reading poetry, everybody kind of like rumming up all the fruits. It's 4 lines. Bear with me. So, again, we're here to stir some shit up, right? We want to get him rolling. I will also tell you that Henry is a very shy man. So, based on his lifestyle, it's not surprising to me that we're getting little things about him. Not like 5, 6, 7 things like what we did over at the Powder magazine. In the Temple of the Fates, God has inscribed her doom. Notice he used her and God in the same line. And all untroubled in her faith, she waits the triumph or the tomb. He's basically waiting to see what the outcome of the Civil War is going to be, to see what Charleston will be like afterwards. Will they triumph or will they fall? Triumph or despair? So, we will spread out in this location. Again, I've told you what I know about the man, other than the fact that he died at the age of 38. So, that puts his death year at 1867. You can ask about his son's name. We've gotten it in the past. His son is buried right next to him in Columbia. So, and it's a very specific name. It's not something common like William and Mary, like what we are looking for over at the Powder magazine. So, I will tell you, last night, your device, John, was going absolutely bonkers. Other side of the obelisk, actually London will take you over there straight, and it's all about the motion sensor. I want to see if we can kind of recreate it, because if we can, something else might be going on there. But again, I still want to test it just to see what's going on. But London will take you there directly. Here. So with your camera, Emily, last night that battery on the light torch drained and started flickering at the same location. Every one of your devices gets fresh batteries, except for the spirit box that I gave Emily initially, because we thought we were going to be good. But everything gets a full charge and fresh batteries every single day, so nothing like that actually occurs. Last night's video, there was flickering on those lights like crazy, and again, I've never seen it on that particular camera before. I don't time this, but they weren't like well over their time of like what we weren't out here for like 4 hours or anything, where it started, to drain by itself. I think we had like 2 hours and 10 minutes or something, so it wasn't anything extensive. But again, get those spirit boxes cranked. Other tours may come through here. Again, stay out of their way, let them do the thing, and get the hell out. Again, we're going to be investigating, so this is our last stop. Let's see what we can get out of this location. Fair?
Yes.
All right, let's do it.
What did you say I was doing?
You're going to be taking him. Remember where the
Over there.
EMF was going crazy last night?
Yes.
Take him over there. I want to see if we're going to get it again.
Okay.
Following me.
Huh? Oh, okay. Where? Over there? The other side? Okay, sure.
Which
Yeah,
one
you can
did
just-
you not put in your ears?
How we doing on our fear phone?
I got 115, 8, and 06. Okay.
Where's Danny?
He's around somewhere.
No tours at the end.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Stuff like that. Makes my whole day.
It was like as soon as you said it, it
Yep.
came up.
Of course it did.
The price of gas.
Yeah, I'm not writing that one down. That's a little too common.
Another set, so I can have two, because I get multiple parties, you know, that way I can put one every party. So that set actually has a handle, so it's way loose. There's no way that somebody can get it. Whatever you want. These little, you can, but those specifically, like when I do use them with that guest, I am directly in front of them the entire time watching videos. And I have somebody filming. Like, so the person with the infrared camera, I have them sitting right next to them. Like, I want the whole thing filmed and make sure anything's going to come out of them. You know, I kind of use that moniker.
Number 17 was and tax.
I want you specifically, just because you guys seem to be pretty soon, I want you to find out the birthday of his son. It's a very no, his son. His because it's very unique.
Alright, let's switch over.
Try to find all the dark corners for me with that guy. Are your lights still running properly? Yep, they're still good. They're flickering a little bit though.
Yes.
I can see it.
Yeah, it is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Are there any numbers you do?
Car park 5 to 7, back to back. And I heard like baby bomb.
What? Well, okay, well, I just want to do that today. No. Let's go on the dark corners. You can go. I'll walk with you in the car.
Anything crazy coming up?
Nah, it beeped a couple of times. That was about it.
So this is the memorial to Jackson's mother.
Mm-hmm.
And last night we were standing pretty close to that bench, like just behind it.
Yeah, she had it over.
I mean, that thing, it went berserk.
Oh.
Like, we couldn't get it to stop. Like, the numbers were all over the place. We
Mhm.
had REM, emotion going nuts. Like,
Wow.
it was the whole thing. So if you got nothing from it tonight,
Yeah.
last night was pretty legit. It went all the way up to 39.
Wow.
So, like, I was like, holy cow. Like, I was not expecting that. Like,
Yeah.
Like, he had a couple 10s, 12s, I think a 17. I was like, all right, now we're getting somewhere. Then it jumped into the
It
20s.
really barely moved. I just heard it just beeped a couple of times.
Okay. Last night was pretty legit. I don't want to think wrong. Yeah, sure. Otherwise, it's I mean, I can debunk things pretty easily. That's the luxury I have to visit the same space over and over again. But, you know, I don't just sit there.
Yeah.
So if I can recreate some stuff, because I don't know over there, we're not seeing it. You know, things that I know is like,
Right.
at least they're honest with you. You know, it's shit over there. Let's see if it does, it won't go through. But if you didn't get in, you can watch the video.
Yeah.
Look, her camera, she's using, same thing. It's already starting to flicker a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I have to question, is it the light? Is it starting to go bad? I've had it for about 6 months now,
Right.
running it on a nightly basis. So again, 6 to 9 months is usually the refresh on these devices. Anything?
I asked him initially what the name of his favorite film was. It said report and understood whatever. And I asked like, how was it having tuberculosis? That sounds insensitive. I didn't say it like that. But then I got strange, and then I was talking more about it, and then it got practitioner. And that got
Ooh.
And a ghost.
You're a ghost.
hello?
See, look at the light.
Which light? Oh, that? Like the flickery thing?
Yeah, it's nice. Oh. It just restarted.
Okay. Well, we can go here. We can go all the way in the corner. Probably just a bum.
No, she's sleeping.
Oh, he doesn't have place else to go.
No, I mean, it's
Oh no, he looks like he's doing this. He looks like he's trying to sleep. Okay. Pull up over here. Boxes maybe one over there.
look how much it's flickering.
Oh, yeah. I didn't walk down that way yet. Maybe I'll walk around past the middle. There's Nikki. I haven't done anything really, except from the first. Anything? In the corner. That's walking.
His son, was his son named Hiram?
I like that's
I heard like hire, and then it like was hiring, I think, but it's cut off. So.
Sure. That's actually I'd say yes at this point because I told you it's very specific. London, any movement?
Yeah. They crossed the street, like the first 3 questions, they identified them. And then asked whoever to cross them again and cross them.
Getting like stabbed in violence. Jail 3 times. I got investment and I got greed.
Dad, I need stuff to ask. Oh. Now your grand finale?
Where?
Grave. Whose grave? Are we standing on that? That would be important.
When did you get it? Is it my finger?
Alright, let's bring everybody over. Grab your family members, bring them on over. Karen's up on a roll
How do I
up
stop this?
there.
There's